This is ATV World. Stay tuned now for a look at all the day's top news stories in tonight's main news.
China says it will honor 2 key human rights accords in Hong Kong. Electoral Commission rules out foreign observers for next year's polls. And North Korea agrees to join 4-nation peace talks. Good evening. China has agreed to submit a United Nations human rights report on Hong Kong. The decision came even though Beijing is not yet a signatory to 2 key UN human rights covenants. As Regina De Luna reports, Chief Executive Tung Chee-hwa and pro-democracy advocates have welcomed the move.
Hong Kong, under the colonial administration, submitted a yearly human rights report to the United Nations. But whether the practice would continue in the SAR was thrown into doubt in the run-up to the handover, when China said only parts of the human rights treaties deemed suitable to Hong Kong would be implemented. Beijing is required to continue the practice under the 1984 Joint Declaration, but today's announcement put an end to doubts when the Chinese Foreign Ministry said the 2 key international human rights covenants would still apply to the territory.
为了充分体现一国两制的原则，中国政府将向联合国的有关机构提供这2个公约的有关规定在香港特区的执行情况，以便使人权公约机构以及国际社会更好地能够了解香港特别行政区的人权状况。
China is close to becoming a signatory to the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, but it has yet to agree to sign the Treaty on Civil and Political Rights. Chief Executive Tung Chee-hwa hailed the move as proof of the central government's willingness to be flexible on Hong Kong matters. The decision comes on the heels of the release of leading Chinese dissident Wei Jingsheng, moves pro-democracy advocates see as encouraging.
China wants to show the world that it wants to do more, that it is prepared to do more to improve its human rights records. That's why now we see China agreeing to submit a report on Hong Kong. But I think these 2 isolated incidents are not enough.
The former legislator said real improvements can only take place if Beijing allows the human rights covenants to extend to the entire country.
Employees of Yohan department stores went back to the shops today to pick up their personal belongings. But as Mark Tung reports, they were there for something more.
The workers seemed a bit more upbeat today, lining up to get back into the Sha Tin shop.
翻嚟收翻自己啲私人物件咁咯，咁同埋公司話咧就有啲係濕貨啲咧，就係最低嘅4折賣俾我哋，咁我哋翻嚟買咁咯。
She said her supervisor called her up last night with the news on the final bargain hunting session. Staff from the Human Resources Department also turned up. They said the job would be to put together the employees' annual leave, severance pay, and other information to be handed over to the Labour Department. Officials spent the afternoon explaining to the media why it will take up to 6 weeks and not 1 week as reported earlier to pay the workers with money from the Protection of Wages on Insolvency Fund.
The 6-week period is more appropriate because we have to go through a lot of procedures. And as I have just explained to you that we have to establish a database for the employees and the employees. And then we have to verify the applications, and then we have to make all the necessary payment arrangements.
Labour officials assured the workers the fund would be more than enough to cover the $130 million the company owed its employees. They also pointed to the fact that around 2,000 positions in retail businesses are open, ready to absorb Yohan employees.
The head of the Electoral Affairs Commission has rejected calls to have international observers monitor next year's polls. But Justice Woo Kwok-hing says they can watch the counting of ballots from the public gallery, like everybody else.
Calls to send official observers from overseas for next May's Legislative Council elections have come from European parliamentarians and local political group The Frontier. The group, led by former legislator Emily Lau, has urged Britain to lobby China to allow observers to take part. But Electoral Affairs Commission Chairman Justice Woo Kwok-hing bristles at the suggestion.